Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to The Swimming Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
Bam! Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I am your host, Travis Bridges, and this is SWIM, S-W-Y-M. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. Let me tell you something. Usually during the week, I'm preparing this live stream by either interviewing someone that I'm going to can or writing down some notes of, whatever the interview or topic is going to be about with someone that I'm going to have on. Or perhaps, I could just be editing something that I'm going to feature in some way of some sort. However, there are times like tonight when I just get either busy or a little lazy and I don't really have anything prepared. But here's something about just, using that statement. I don't want to say I don't have anything prepared because I am a walking, vocabulary talking, just person. So you can just come up to me and say anything and I'll be ready to talk on it to the best of my ability. Do I know everything? No. Do I know a lot? I know a little. But I always have a perception of something, and I like sharing my perception, not because it's good, better, or best, but I try to have a perception that is as non-biased as possible. I know it's impossible to not be biased in some respects. However, during times of chaos in particular, it is the time you have to dig very deep and remove your personal biases in order to resolve and find peace. Let's just say you don't put your personal biases aside and you somehow win an argument, a fuss, or a dispute in some kind of way. Guess what? You still have to go to sleep. And guess who's laying beside you when you're sleeping? When you know you have allowed your personal whatever to influence anything you may say or do. Of course, if you want to win, you want to win. But do you really want to win at the expense of falsehood, personal agendas, lies? Maybe you do. If you do, then I guess that's what the ultimate judge is for. And maybe you might get away with that today, but just as sure as the ultimate judge is the ultimate judge, you will meet your fate at some point in time. That's a little off topic with what I want to talk about, but I'm going to try to get into it as best as I can. Christine is in the house with me and two other people. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So what is my topic tonight? I'm not sure. What did I say it was? What you know or what you can prove, and I have two clips that I'm going to talk about. But my live stream was inspired by a conversation I was having with, of all people, my son. We've been kicking quite a few things around lately, and to think that that was a little boy at one time following me around, and then now he's made me a grandpa and he's got a little girl following him around the same way, he and his wife. They're just doing their thing. And when I look back on where we came from and where we are and where we're going. It's amazing, but we have conversations every now and then. We laugh a lot, and sometimes we get serious, and sometimes it's emotional. I'll never forget one time. It was one of those times. This is kind of crazy. I'm going to be vulnerable. It was one of those times when my son had first left, for college. And it was the first time he had been away from me and even Beverly at the time for an extended time. And it was just, one of those moments that I had gone up to the academy to visit. And it was one of those moments where it's like, okay, I only have 3 or 4 days and I'm hanging out with my son. But it was a Sunday afternoon and it was time for me to go. And of course, we're big dudes and we're sitting there like about to go, like, okay, all right, be good. We're trying to be strong, say, all right, be good. And it was kind of one of those emotional moments, where I was about to leave my son, and I know that he was going through his first, year of college, plebe year, it's called at the academy. And, it was part of my first time being away from my son for extended times. But I'll never forget it. I said, all right, I'm gonna holler at you. We're gonna go. And then I got in the car and he took off and went back to campus. And then I got just a little bit outside of the academy and realized I forgot something. And whatever it was, I forgot. He was like, okay, Dad, you forgot that you need to come back. I was like, cool, I'm not too far. I had to turn around and go back and I don't even remember what it was. I'm being silly. But here's what happened. Okay, when I got back, I know how I felt when I drove away. I was kind of holding back tears like, I'm getting ready to leave my son. And it was kind of emotional. And obviously my son was kind of feeling the same way. So as I was going back to the campus, something had flown in my eye and I was getting it out, and making sure, I was good. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good. Everything's good. So, I built up my strength enough to get out the car and get, what it was I left. And so did my son. And when I looked at him, I'm looking like, wait a minute. I know this Negro ain't been crying or he ain't sad. And sure enough, we both looked at each other and our hearts said something that said, yeah, I miss you, son. I miss you, Dad. And we just had that little moment like, okay, I'm gonna get with you. I'll holler at you. Be good. Take care of yourself. Love you. Okay, love you too. Bye. And then we both got in the car. And then I was going, gosh, man, my son was feeling the same thing I was feeling. He was having like this bond broken where he was leaving his dad and I'm leaving my son. And it's like, it just made me sad a little bit because it's like I was leaving my son where I wasn't able to protect him. Not that he needed protecting, but it was just one of those moments. Don't ask me why I shared that. But yeah, I know why I shared it. It was talking about the conversation that we were having that's going to get into what it is I'm going to talk about eventually once I get into talking about it. What is it? Okay, so I was having this conversation with my son, and we were talking about forgiving and being nice to people, even when people are not nice. You ever go into the bank or the grocery store or anywhere and people are just nasty and they're probably having a bad day or they just have a bad attitude, and something inside of you needs to rise above that energy so that you're not back and forth with that. So our conversation was indeed about something in particular, but I'm going to try to talk about it as much as I can without telling, the internal of what we were talking about. So we were talking about being nice to people, even when people are not nice to us. And my son is very different from me. He's a good dude. He really is. Just like his daddy. I'm not bad, but my son really is a good dude. But he's a little less, and I think I'm firm and strong, and I am. But somehow or another, that trait came through him in a different way. I will talk straight up. I will look you in your face. I will let my yes be yes and my no be no. And I will tell whatever I have to tell to the best of my ability and just be, straightforward with it. My son is a little less communicative in terms of talking. However, he's a little stubborn when it comes to, being specific. So I've always tried to teach him to be good and to do the right thing and to do the best thing. And of course, his football coach co-signed on that, where he, somewhat had this thing about choosing the right. He already knew that, but it was just, reinforced by the time he got to college. So we were talking about being nice or being forgiven. And my son surprised me in saying, no, when someone shows you who they are, when someone puts out who they are and what they are about, you can't put yourself in position, especially being forgiving and being, chummy or talking and trying to be friends with people that for sure mean you no good, and they show it in every way. Why would you be nice to a person like that? I really didn't have a response, but it was like, well, just because you're not supposed to act like people. You're not supposed to, treat other people as they treat you. You treat them as you would have them treated. Well, I was just not able to stand up to, what he was saying in response, which was, I don't want to say it was right, but it wasn't wrong. It just made sense. And as we talked about different scenarios, one in particular that I'm going to bring about, he said, Dad, you know that story about the snake, right? The man is, so if you don't know the story, I'll tell you the story. This man was on his way home one day, and he saw a snake that had been injured. So he took the snake home and nursed the snake and got the snake back to, it was, big and full and, well and, just healthy again. And then after a few days of the snake being healthy, the snake bit the man. And the man was like, not necessarily talking to the snake, but, pretty much saying, how did you bite me after I did all that I did for you? And then the response of the snake was, well, you knew I was a snake when you brought me home. And that's what we do. So after my son gave me that example among several others, I kind of saw what he was saying in terms of, just not trusting people when you know exactly what they are capable of doing, not based on, your accusations or, your dislike of them, but what they have flat out shown you and proven to you how they can be. And I just could not argue with him and saying, okay, be nice anyway, or do something different anyway. He had a lot of ground to stand on in saying, I just don't want those kind of people or that kind of person in my space when they have clearly shown me, that they mean me no good or no intention. So I couldn't do anything but just say, okay, and hope that, the good guy in me would cause him to have a little compassion. So, in my efforts to make sure he was saying what he was saying, it's just like me to make sure to get what I call clarity. I said to my son, so, and I named, random people, and one of the random people, I just said, well, if you saw this person, that person, and then this person together, and they were stalled on the side of the road, in a storm and in a bad area where they were not safe, and you were passing by on a pickup, and you know how they are, that they don't mean you any good. If you saw this person and you had the opportunity to help them, would you at least stop, and let them on the back of the truck, at least get them to safety? He said, I would pass right by them. I would stop at the nearest Popeye chicken and get me a 3-piece snack, and I would eat it, enjoy it, and I would let them stay there. And it just kind of did something to me, because in my heart, I was like, where did that come from? I didn't teach my son to be cruel like that. And once again, he said something to the effect of, okay, that's what, karma will do. And that's what, the decisions we make will get us in for whatever reason. And who am I to pull them from side the road, especially when I know, that they don't mean me any good. And I really couldn't say anything. And I just had to be okay with it. And I said, you wouldn't even let him get on the back, and he said, absolutely not. And I'm sorry. And he gave me some other examples. I can't think of them at the very moment, but he gave me some examples that really did not hold him accountable or responsible for not only how he felt, what he thought, what he could actually, demonstrate with proof, but it just kind of made sense to just put that out of your space. And it's not your responsibility at that time to either feel sorry for someone or give them a break or allow them an opportunity, to escape any kind of karma. I don't think it has anything to do with forgiveness or giving someone a second chance, third chance, or, as I like to say, those who are without sin. Well, I don't say it. I like to repeat it. Those who are without sin, cast the first stone. Anyway, by the time we finished the conversation, he had stood his ground in saying that, okay, when you have been, when people show you who they are, believe them and steer yourself clear. Don't feel bad about not feeling sorry for someone who's curling up, coiling up, hissing, and looking to strike at you again. Just don't put yourself in that position. Okay, I said all that to say, well, I can't say what I want to say, but to say what's been on my heart and on my mind. I have two clips. One of the clips I played last week, and I'm going to play the other clip before, because one of my favorite lines in the song, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, goes like this: evil moves fast, but good moves faster. And I just want to talk about, how we may feel throughout our day in life, whether it's on our job, whether it's with our family or friends. Sometimes we don't feel good about how people respond to us. I discovered I have a love language of accountability. If I tell you I'm going to call you back or be somewhere, I like to be there, and it means something. And it just bothers me when people just keep me hanging along and just dragging along. And it's just one of those things. How did I get into that? Either way, I want to talk about how to move forward, in situations when you want to be the good person and be nice and love people anyway, but that it's not good for you. You have to make that hard and tough decision. And I'm going to make a totally left turn right now and get into, what it is that I guess that's on my heart and mind and what I want to bring awareness to. I saw a clip. I didn't watch it yet, but I saved it on social media, and it talked about how evil people are rich. Maybe you can look it up, because I just saw it and I saved it because I didn't have time. Why evil people are rich. I'm going to go back and say that. Because weapons are formed, but they don't always prosper. Even people who do bad things and seemingly get away with it, there's something about that they're really not getting away with it. And we don't know what's going on the outside of things, situations, and people. But you just don't do dirt and then just get away with it just because you're not caught. So many things have happened. So many people have been exonerated. So many people have just been, released of, certain things. And then, of course, people who are guilty go free. And sometimes people who are free get accused of, whatever. They're entrapped in some kind of way. But I want to play something that really makes sense. And it has something to do about the truth and the law. I'm learning something the hard way, that the truth and the law are really not the same, and it really doesn't matter. I'll never forget the reality. An attorney said to me, he said, the truth can't always help you. The truth really doesn't matter. And in my mind, I'm thinking, here I am, young and green, all Christian based and everything. Right is right, but when I realized, through many other things that I've investigated and found out, you really have to be patient with truth, and transparency, because the law is a different thing. The law can allow you to present something in a way that if it's lawful, it doesn't matter what the truth is. If it stands up to the law, you might, have to dance or whatever. So there is reason to be concerned, in every situation. But one of my favorite movies, anyone that knows me, I've got 3 or 4 favorite movies, and I'll say in my top 5, Training Day is one of my favorite movies. Don't ask me why. I guess because I'm a Denzel fan, and Ethan Hawke, was that his name? Was it Ethan Hawke? No, what's the guy's name who played the training cop? Come on, how could I forget? Anyway, I have a clip that I'm going to play from that movie where Denzel was on top. He had made his move, and he made a point that even the rookie cop was able to relate to. He said to him, it ain't what you know, it's what you can prove. And of course, Denzel, who played, the cop, the crooked cop, had set up his plan according to the law for a few days, for a long time. And he said, "You've been planning this all day." He said, "No, I've been planning it all week. It's chess, it ain't checkers." And, that light just came on for me. And it's like, well, he did play this guy. He was a smart detective. And sometimes when you know the inside, you can fix things and do things so that it reflects well in the law, regardless of the truth. And in this clip, you're going to see the guy who was innocent had to accept what he was saying as it relates to the law. And you can see it in his expression. He's like, although I'm not going to give up, he's got me on this statement. And then I'm going to play another I'm going to play another clip that makes another big difference. So I want you to listen to this, and I'll be right back in a moment. Notice how, as Denzel has his chips stacked in a certain way to where he was on top, he was winning, he had everything going for himself. And look at the small defeat, on the other guy's face. I'm keep talking about it. I need to go ahead and play it, right? Okay, here it is right here. Here it is. All right, check it out. I hope it plays. I'll be right back, but listen.
You got one problem though, Jake. You got no witnesses. Who your fucking witnesses, huh? Roger? Smiley? You think my troops are gonna help you? It's not what you know. It's what you can prove. Yeah.
He said, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And he was right as it relates to the court. If you can prove something, it doesn't matter. And that's a very hard nut to crack. That's a hard medicine to have to swallow, but it's the truth. It's not what you know or what is the truth. Is what you can prove. And many times, many things have been proven in a certain way, hasn't been the truth. And that's the point I want to make. So I'm going to play it one more time before I play the other clip that I've also played before that I think really makes the difference. And it goes a little something like, I'm going to play this one again. Just listen to it. Just listen to it again.
You got one problem though, Jake. You got no witnesses. Who your fucking witnesses, huh? Roger? Smiley? You think my troops are gonna help you? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Yeah, man. He had Jake at that moment. And I don't want to spoil it for you. Maybe you haven't seen the movie. But at that moment, and all through the movie, he had a plan that was fail-proof. And at that moment, Jake knew he was in trouble. But I want to bring awareness to this. There's this saying that goes like this: keep doing the right and the best thing every day you live your life. If your behind is crooked, get ready for what's coming to you. That's all I'm going to say. But if you're good, stay good. Keep being good and doing the right thing. That doesn't mean you can't make a mistake or you haven't made a mistake. I'm not saying that, because we've all fallen short of the glory of God. But as my son said in another scenario, when you know you're wrong and you have the opportunity to do the right thing and you don't do the right thing, that's even more reason to maybe leave you on the side of the road when I could help you. Not because I'm not being a nice guy, but because it's just out of my jurisdiction to not bring that into my circle, into my space. So with that being said, I'm going to play this short clip one more time, and then I'm going to play my other clip. Hopefully it will do something to you. If you have been, if you know someone, or if you will find yourself in a situation where you need to stand still and see the salvation of the only wise one. Okay? So, uno más, one more time. Hang on a second.
You got one problem, though, Jake. You got no witnesses. Who your fucking witnesses, huh? Roger? Smiley? You think my troops are gonna help you? It's not what you know. It's what you can prove. Yeah.
And of course, we found out that that was a buck-eyed lie, because although he had his stuff together, it fell apart for him in the worst way. And it wasn't Jake's responsibility to save him. It wasn't anyone else's responsibility to give him any kind of chances to get away or to get out. It was what was probably coming to him, not because, somebody wanted to do something bad to him, but you really do reap what you sow. And you will hear that in this next clip. And when this next clip is over, I'm just going to go because it's going to speak for itself. And although I played that short one many times for you to hear, what I guess I'm trying to say, listen carefully to this, because that first clip was about corruption. It was about lies, and it was about schemes, and it was about strategically planning your way through the law so that you can get away with something dark. And many people have gotten away with dark things on the surface, but I don't believe no good deed goes corrected, and however that thing goes. But when he said what he said, he was operating under dark pretenses. And I am a firm believer in that the truth, if you know it, it will make you free, regardless of what the law says or does, or regardless of what evil people do. Being truthful and transparent makes a difference. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to play this clip, and then I'm going to be gone. I started watching a good movie, and I put it on pause just so that I can come and address you guys. And I'm right about on time for what I thought I was going to be. So thank you again for being there with me. Thank you for allowing me to have this therapy for myself. I don't have a lot of friends, so I don't, do a lot of talking. And, I'm kind of like an introvert that's extroverted, an outgoing introvert. So I don't get to talk a lot. So when I do get to talk to myself and maybe the one person that stands in with me or the few people that watch throughout the week, I like to just come on and talk about stuff. And if you'd like for me to talk about something, you already know, Travis Bridges 2 at AOL.com. I'll talk about it. I'll give my perspective. I'm not a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, none of that. I'm not a therapist or anything. I just believe in listening, hearing, paying attention, and accepting new information, to help me to make a wise and intelligent assessment of what's actually happened, regardless of how I feel, what I think, or what I believe. It's very difficult to do. And most people cannot, and even more, will not do it, especially if it goes against those beliefs, feelings, and thoughts. So with that being said, I'm going to play this clip. Listen good. One of my favorite heroes, is in this. And just listen to what he says about the truth as it relates to a lie or the law. Not saying that the law is a lie, but if you are corrupt and you know how to maneuver the law and you don't mean any good, you can fix many things as many things have been fixed. But the truth always finds a way to surface. With that being said, thank you so much. Have yourself a good night. Find someone you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it, show it and prove it. And here goes my clip. And with that being said, I love you. And nighty night.
Yes, I've always been a great admirer of your ability as a poet. Have you had to work hard at it, or is it just sheer genius?
It comes to me. It comes to me naturally. And I do it mainly because of my fights, little simple rhymes. I just wrote a poem the other day entitled Truth. It says, the face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last. That's a masterpiece.
Now, did you...
SWYM. Say what you mean. As much as this information is designed to bring awareness to how we listen, hear, and process, it is also a form of therapy. The little person inside of all of us needs to be heard. As adults, even listening to ourselves is a form of healing, strengthening, and growth. It's okay to speak, talk, express yourself, and be heard, even if you're the only listener. If our testimony does anything at all for anyone else, that makes the continued effort worth the time. Get the words out. You'll feel better, and that's a promise. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
You know, sometimes it seems like all the good times are gone, but you got to keep on searching.
You got to keep on
keeping on.
keep on keeping on.
For example, take me
Standing right here today.
I would not be here with you if I believed the things that the people say. You got to keep on searching. Keep it on the cold side.
Keep on